Hello and good evening. This is the fourth of our presentations on Singapore Open results and SEA Games evaluations for the respective events. Um, so we've covered the following: the 1500 meter men's, the 4x400 and 400 meters for men, the 400 and 4x400 for women, and today we're going to tackle the women's 100 meters and women's 4x100 meter reviews for Singapore Open and SEA Games. Okay, before I continue, please feel free to click the subscribe button to www.youtube.com/canoeathletics20 for news, views, analysis, training tips, and race footage. Moving to the next screen. So I'm going to be discussing the Singapore Open results first from 2022. Mainly, as you can see in the results, it was mainly the Philippines and Singapore pretty much having a dual meet. And there were a few representatives from Indonesia and Malaysia, but they mainly sent their developmental athletes or their youth or junior athletes. Thailand and Vietnam did not participate at all. They didn't send anyone to the Singapore Open. Okay, so I'll just start by showing you the first heat. So the first heat was won by Eloisa Luzon Medina of the Philippines in a time of 12:33. It was the slower of the two heats, which was held on the second day of the Singapore Open. I'll now just open up that video for your viewing. And that is Luzon in the middle, third from the right and third from the left in the first heat. And now I will share with you the second heat, which was won in 11:79 in a world junior qualifying time, an Indonesian youth record by Vanessa Valentin Lobreng, who we will be discussing momentarily, a unknown athlete that I'd never heard of before, who just came out and topped these heats. I'll now share that second heat. So there was the second heat here, and the small girl in the black, fourth from the right, is Lobreng of Indonesia, and she was well clear of 2015 SEA Games champion Shanti Veronica Pereira of the host Singapore, who took the second time. And I'll now go back to our screen. So in the heats, Lonteng was 3 strides clear of Pereira in 12:12, and Medina qualified through third in 12:33. All the other qualifiers were from Singapore and went down to 12:89. Then in the final, Shanti ran a lot better with 11:93, improving from it was 12:12. So she ran 0.19 faster, whereas Luzon Medina ran 0.07 slower with a time of 12:40. Vanessa Valentin Lobreng improved by another 0.02 despite it being into a minus 0.8 headwind, and improved her Indonesian youth record and improved her world junior qualifying time again from 11:79 to 11:77 under the 11:80 world junior qualifying time. World juniors being held in Cali, Colombia later in the year. I'll now play that video for viewing. This is the women's final. sorry, that was, I believe that this is also the heats. Bear with me. I will look for that final. Okay, well, the final, I will have to share that later because apparently it doesn't seem to be in the little collection here of, of the videos. I'd assumed I had saved it. But obviously not. So I'll have to just insert the final later. We'll just proceed to our next set of slides. So some data on Eloisa Luzon Medina. So far her competitions this year, 1266 into a headwind at IMUS back in February, 1216 plus 0.7 in March at Pasig, then 1240 and 1230, then 1233 in the heats in Singapore and 1240 in the finals in Singapore. Her personal best legitimately is 1211. Set in 2018. She ran a windy 11.99 back in 2017 with +3. And moving forward to the next screen, regarding the new athlete Valentin Lobreng. This is a nice infograph I found. So full credit to whoever prepared this. So in 2019, her bests were 12.04 and 24.84 as a 15-year-old. The former youth record is 11.97 from 2010. So Valentin is born on the 14th of February 2005. This is basically JC's Semblin Marit Jaga is where she's from. And yeah, so she, 1190 in 1170. She ran 1190 in 20 on the 2nd or 7th of August 2022. I didn't have those times in my database, and now she's run 1177. So she's qualified for the World Juniors, a very impressive athlete, and as I will explain later, they have a lot of talent running around the same sort of times. Out of nowhere, so yeah, Indonesian under 18 record passes the world under 20 qualifying standard of 1180. Indonesia could be a dark horse in the women's 4x1, and I will explain why momentarily. So the next is the women's 4x1 relay, where the Singapore A team, led by Veronica Shanti, was more than a second clear of the Philippines. It's Philippines A, but this is more of a Philippines B team because it doesn't have the Phil heritage athletes in it. Luzon, Medina, Melissa Scott, and Catherine Santos, and Jessel Lamapis. I believe from watching the video, the order was Santos, Escotten, Medina, and then to Lamapis, and they timed 47.08. I had predicted before the competition that this lineup in my view, would run something with a 47 in front of it. So prediction prior to the meet was spot on with a time of 47.08. And moving through to the next screen. So it's going to be a rematch in 2022, presumably between Letu Chin and Christina Marie Knott, but a third athlete could cause a surprise with the Philippine women's sprint stack pretty stacked, with 3 athletes hitting the bronze medal standard. More on that as I show you the next screen, which is the ranking lists. These are the women's 100-meter rankings. Christina Marie Knott and Letu Chin had a very strong fight at the last SEA Games, and in fact I will try and find a video of that to share with you while we're on the subject of the SEA Games. I think Christina Marie, I think that was 11:54 to 11:55, where she just held, where Chin just held not off. So I'm going to log out of my Facebook because it's pinging away in the background. It's been very annoying. Like I'll be here all night if I keep checking FB while this is playing. I'll see if I can. Okay, here we go. Here's a video. I'm going to be sharing this video, which I found on YT YouTube. Just bear with me for a minute here while I open up that video. So yeah, it was a very close, exciting race between Chin of Vietnam and Knott of the Philippines, and it came down to the dying seconds of the race, where Chin barely managed to hold on from the fast finishing Christina Knott, who was there but not quite in the 100 meters at that point. I'll now discuss some more of the screen here. I'll go to the back to my presentation. So with this 100 meters, I'll just switch my phone off. It's pinging away annoyingly as well as the Facebook messages keep flooding in at the moment, hopefully about these videos. Now, yeah, so Christina Knott has actually improved her time and ran 11:27, 11:28, breaking the Southeast Asian and Philippine record since coming second to Letu Chin at the SEA Games. Chin, on the other hand, who has had a PB of 11:40, has been stuck around the 11:43 mark. Knott hasn't ran this year. The other interesting thing is with the Philippines is with Kyla Richards. Are they going to field Kayla or Kyla Richardson as the second athlete in the women's 100 on the SEA Games start list or the task force grid? They have the PATAFA have entered Kayla Richardson, who's ran 11:57, the 2015 SEA Games. However, Kyla Ashley Richardson, who was the twin sister of Kayla and hasn't won a individual medal yet at the SEA Games, has ran a very fast wind assisted 11:39 in the process. Now, I also heard that Kayla, I'm not entirely sure if Kayla will be attending the SEA Games due to college commitments. I heard that's what I heard. I heard Kyla will definitely be there. So I'm hoping to confirm that with Mr. Jeffrey Richardson, their dad, so we can get a better understanding. But the Philippines has three very good runners who are all underneath the bronze medal standard. And also under the bronze medal standard is Zaidul Husnia Zulkifli of Malaysia, the 2017 silver medalist in the 1 and the 200 meters, who's also in the mix. So these five athletes are the ones who have ran underneath the qualifying bronze medal standard and are on my first page. So I think that definitely the top three, or the gold, silver, and bronze, will come out of this list here, out of these five. Or the Philippines can only choose two of those three athletes. They can choose. They're definitely going to choose not, and they're going to choose between Kayla and Kyla. But we're not exactly sure which one of the two they're going to go with. Now, moving to the second screen of the ranked athletes. So take into account that blue highlight indicates individual entry, whereas the yellow square on the left indicates relay team member, because you're only allowed 2 athletes per country. So we've got at least 12 entries in the SEA Games, unless there's athletes slower than 12 from countries like Laos and Cambodia entering as well. That will make it, at least 2 heats. There's usually 2 heats in the SEA Games. So moving down the list, we have Merton Ningsi, the quickest of the Indonesians, at 11:67. Shanti Pereira at 11:69, the SEA Games bronze medalist from 2015 and from 2015, 17, and 19. Hasn't quite been running that well this season. Only 11:90 this year. Hati Tu, the second of the Vietnamese, the number 2 to Chin. And with the Indonesians, it's pretty cutthroat between second and fifth. Nuraini, Nayanti, Hazruni, and Valentin have all ran within 0.01 of each other with 11:76 and 11:77. Also, Azrin Nabila Alias, who went to the Olympic Games for the Malaysians as the wild card, universality rule athlete, by merit of points. She made it through the consolation round of the 100 meters into the first round of the heats with the top women. Paul Kurd of Thailand and Cheta of Thailand, who I believe has a personal best of around 11:50, or maybe even below 11, maybe 11:40 something. All right, and moving to that last screen. In the wind-dated performances, as I noted before, about a week ago, Kyla Richardson ran 11:39 with a 3.5 tailwind. So she's also like a dark horse. Maybe this might be her turn this time to win the SEA Games from the more, the better-known Christina Knott. That is yet to be seen leading up to these games. And finally, in the Philippines, going through the relay team's chances. So the Philippines 4x1 relay, option 1 or A list, Knott, Richardson, Kyla Richardson, Zion Nelson, have an average time of 11:58, 46:32, and 44:07. This by far was the quickest combination in the SEA Games. However, I am unsure, as I've heard that Kayla Richardson and Zion Nelson may not be able to attend due to college commitments on scholarship. So that may mean the Philippines may resort to option 2. And if they have to resort to option 2 without those 2 runners, I will demonstrate how that is going to affect the team in terms of overall placing. So as of now, with those 4, they would be ranked first for 44:07. Then we look at Vietnam's 4x100 meter relay team. We have Chin with 11:43, Hatu with 11:72, Fung with 11:78, T1 with 11:80, and their average time is 11:68. Total time of 46:73. So Vietnam, the defending champions, the Philippines are the silver medalists, and they lost to Vietnam, but the Philippine contingent have all got faster, whereas Chin is mainly carrying the team, as there hasn't really been any significant improvements for anyone else, while Chin has been holding her performance. It gives them an average time of 11:68, a total time of 46:73, and flying estimated time of 44:48, which is second now behind the Philippines, who have seen improvements from Kyla, Kayla, and Christina Knott since the last SEA Games. And then we look at the team which is ranked third. Third, if the Philippines field their best team, Tias Mertes Ningsi, 1167, and then a not much in it between Nuraini, Nuyanti, Valentin, and Hasruni, as I said before, all within 0.01 of each other, with an average time of 11.74 and an estimated time of 44.72. And then we move to the Philippine option 2. If Kayla and Zion are not available, we have Christina Knott, Kyla Richardson, Robin Brown with 12 flat, and Medina with 12.16, meaning that they'll only have 2 sub 12 runners, which brings their average time down to 11.76 and their total time to 44.82, which would move them from gold with their best 4 runners to bronze if they have to substitute in their other runners behind Vietnam and Indonesia. And we're looking now at the other candidates in the team. So also with 4 runners under 12 seconds, Zulkifili, Elias, Bintiadi, and Batlin, average time of 11.81, flying time of 45 flat, which would place Malaysia 4th. And then the tyres. They've always been a top 3 team or a top 2 team, or actually they've even been the Asian champions before in the 4x1 in the past. But it seems like the depth of Thai women's sprinting seems to be evaporating right now, with nobody running under 11.70 in the qualifying period. Kulkud, Cheta, Thipat, and Pitchkol all under 12, but nobody under 11.70 anymore. The average time of 11.85 gives them a flying time of 45.17. Now, that would mean, unless they find some way to get their speed up, unlike the men who are a top 2 or a very strong gold medal chance, the Thais could fade to a very disappointing 5th place at these SEA Games after being top 3 as long as I have been around. And that's all for our presentations. Now, I've got a lot of messages to check. Hopefully we had a lot of people tuning in tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we should be having another presentation maybe later tonight or tomorrow, depending on how my time schedule goes. Thank you, everybody, and you have a pleasant evening.